For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas. Foreign ministers and representatives of some 30 countries gathered for a security conference in Paris this Monday to discuss plans to fight the Islamic State militants in Syria and Iraq. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry attended the summit and has been drumming up support for a plan of action unveiled by President Barack Obama last week. The talks had been called to agree to a strategy to combat the group. Islamic State currently controls large parts of Iraq and Syria, while France says it has begun surveillance flights over Iraq as well as delivered arms to the Kurds. French leaders are still reluctant to join Washington's complete military offensive in Baghdad and Damascus. Meanwhile, Syria and Iran continue to condemn the offensive. Meanwhile, the escalating violence in Syria caused by the Islamic State has forced the UN to order the evacuation of all of its officials in the Syrian region of Golan.
Armed groups have made advances in the area of UNDOF positions, posing a direct threat to the safety and security of the UN peacekeepers along the Bravo line and in Cape Fawar. All of UN personnel in these positions have thus been relocated to the Alpha side. UNDOF continues to use all available assets to carry out its mandated tasks in this exceptionally challenging.
Fighting broke out again in eastern Ukraine this Monday, just as Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko prepared to offer the separatist-minded East special status in a bid to avoid the conflict. Kiev is reluctant to support Poroshenko's proposed plan of granting further rights to the eastern part of the region. Poroshenko's draft was leaked on Monday to local media. As written, the measure would grant self-rule to separatist-minded regions for a 3-year period and allow them to strengthen and deepen relations with neighboring Russian regions. Meanwhile, fighters in Donetsk accused Ukrainian forces on Monday of violating the truce repeatedly. So far, the fighting has killed over 3,000 people. This Monday, Mexicans commemorate 204 years of independence. As our correspondent Clayton Kahn reports, each year Mexicans cry out with their traditional Grito de Dolores.
Today marks the 204th anniversary of Mexico's independence, when a popular revolt overthrew nearly 300 years of Spanish colonial rule. Festivities are planned throughout the nation as most working Mexicans enjoy the long weekend as well as the holiday. However, civil organizations and unions are calling for nationwide protests, as well as a boycott of the official activities planned for the Zócalo, or the nation's main plaza. They reject the 11 neoliberal structural reforms that have been approved over the past 2 years. They say these reforms proposed by the administration of Enrique Peña Nieto are a threat to the national sovereignty, as well as labor and worker rights. One of the most polemic reforms has been that of education, which imposes a regime or a system of standardized testing on teachers, as well as reduces the state's responsibility in the national education system. Independent teachers that reject the reform will march on the nation's capital, as well as organize what they say is an alternative to the official festivities.
In Colombia now, our correspondent Charles Parkinson reports on the tension that is building around a Senate debate into ties between politicians and paramilitaries.
For Colombian Senator Ivan Cepeda, the September 17th debate into ties between politicians and paramilitaries could be one of the most important days of his political career. Cepeda has spent years seeking to hold politicians and power brokers to account for their involvement with the state-sanctioned illegal armed groups, and the debate will offer an unprecedented platform for him and his progressive allies.
It is very important that the country learns the truth about what has happened, and to a substantial extent that the truth involves the top leaders.
The most prominent of those set to come under the microscope is former President Álvaro Uribe, who the Congressional Ethics Committee have declared Cepeda cannot name during the debate. It's a decision Cepeda disagrees with and may be unwilling to uphold.
It is censorship. No valid argument exists to censor the debate, and I hope that the censorship will not be enforced in the moment that I speak.
For Nelson Camilo Sanchez, an investigator with NGO De Justicia, the debate is critical to uncovering the unknown truths behind links to illegal paramilitary groups that in many cases remain active.
In Colombia, we are just beginning to see a clarification of the political and economic links of the paramilitaries. There was an important process by the Supreme Court of Justice that confronted some of the biggest bosses, but the large empires, both political and economic, that were produced by the relationship between politics and the armed conflict continued intact today in many regions.
On September 17th, Cepeda and his allies will finally have the opportunity to bring some of Colombia's most powerful figures to account. This debate will be one of the political talking points of the year in Colombia. Sadly, it is rumoured Álvaro Uribe will choose not to take his seat in the chamber to hear it. Charles Parkinson, Telesur in Bogotá, Colombia.
And thanks to Charles, Israel's recent offensive in Gaza has left long-term damage in the Mediterranean Strip, both economically and socially. Here's our correspondent Noor Harazin with more.
Escaping the suffering and high unemployment in Gaza, an increasing number of young Palestinians are making the dangerous trip by boat from Egypt to the shores of Europe for a chance at decent life. On Sunday, 15 of these migrants from Gaza died after their boat capsized in the Mediterranean Sea off the coast of Al-Ajami near Alexandria in northern Egypt.
طيب ماشي الجنسيات معكم في فلسطينيين من غزة وفلسطينيين وسوريين؟
The 15 bodies were pulled out of the sea and 72 people were rescued from the water after the Navy and border guards received a call for help from a vessel called Abu Uthman.
I won't lie, I was also thinking of going through this scary journey to leave Gaza, but after hearing this news I'm totally against it. I thought they were traveling by ship, but the fact the small boat carried more than 100 people is unbelievable. For sure their lives would be in danger. I will never ever consider this an option again.
Naval forces and a helicopter were sent to the area from which the signal arrived, and they found that the boat has been worked after hitting a rock off the coast soon after departing from shore. The sources said that the Palestinians on board had fled from Gaza through smuggling tunnels into Egypt and were trying to escape to Italy alongside a number of Egyptian and Syrian migrants. The rescued Palestinians were taken to hospitals in Alexandria, and Egyptian security sources said they would be deported by Egyptian security forces back to the Gaza Strip after their recovery. The Israeli-Egyptian siege on the Gaza Strip has been tightened over the last year, forcing many to choose this type of migration that claims the lives of hundreds of people each year trying to enter Europe by sea. Noor Harazin, Telesur TV. Gaza.
And thanks to Noor. We end on a lighter note. UNICER Cine's third International Film Festival continues to buzz in the Argentinian province of San Juan. The event brings together filmmakers from different countries of Latin America that make up the UNICER regional bloc. 134 producers are competing in 3 different categories of the festival. Those include the International Argentina Cine del Sur group and the commercial group. In addition to the screenings, the festival also offers seminars, workshops, and tributes to Gabriel Garcia Marquez and Alfredo Alcon, 2 artists very much involved with cinema. Plenty more on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.